And welcome back to the Hot Lap. We are talking the British Touring Car Championship as it heads to Oulton Park. Yes, we're nearly halfway through the season and it's looking good for a couple of drivers, if your name's not Jake Hill. But let's talk about all the others, including Jake Hill. So it is on like Gariston. That's from like an old advert, I've no idea. Ignore me. So, on for Oulton Park. Yes, live as you know on ITVX, ITV4, YouTube if you are abroad as well. I don't actually know if they're live on TikTok anymore. I know they had that deal last year, but did they change that for YouTube? To be honest, I'm not too sure. But they were live on TikTok last year, but now you can get it on YouTube if you are across the pond, if you're not in the UK. Either way, all coverage, unlike Formula 1, MotoGP and WEC, it is free. The best free live motorsport, as far as I'm concerned, in the world is the British Touring Car Championship. So, one big question going into this race weekend, one of my most disappointing people, other than Jake Hill and the WSR team, minus obviously Brands Hatch, we'll talk about that in a bit, is One Motorsport. And Josh Cook. He says, I'll be going all out for podiums and importantly, that first win of the season. At least that's what he's saying, Mr. Cook. Now, the issue's going to be, I think, the issue's going to come is how good is that Honda? There just seems to be a couple of steps back. Is he going to be close to that win? I don't know, but this is the driver standings as of Oulton Park, and it's Ash Sutton. I wouldn't say with a commanding lead, just a 9-point lead, but 3 wins on 181. Tom Ingram 172. Yes, he did get that win finally. He's actually got a win. Dan Rowbottom, though, has 2 more wins than him, and he's third. Who predicted that? Dan Cammish, well, arguably the unluckiest man in 2025. I can only assume on the way to the season opener, he walked under a dozen ladders. Jake Hill, in relation to the championship contenders, yes, he's won 1 win, 1 second. And that's it. I mean, it kind of like they sorted the car out of Brands Hatch and then nothing. Now, as talented as his teammates are, as we said going into, I think, after Donington, going into Brands Hatch, when, to be fair, I was completely mugged and had to eat humble pie, but I'm going to say it again, no Colin Turkington. Are they struggling? That's the issue there. So we've got Adam Morgan in 6th, Josh Cook in 7th, Tom Chilton 8th, Chris Smiley 9th, Charles Rainford 10th, Mikey Doble 11th, Dow De Leon in 12th, 13th Ada Moffat, 14th Daniel Lloyd, 15th Sam Osborne, 16th Aaron Taylor Smith, Senna Proctor in 17th, Ronan Pearson in 18th, James Dord in 19th, Gordon Shedden 20th, and then the rest of Dexter Patterson, Max Hall, Stephen Jelly, Michael Crease, Nicholas Hamilton, Nick Halstead and Ryan Bensley. And Nick Hamilton, Halstead and Bensley are still to get off the actual points markers in the main, essentially in the main bit. So when we look at the Teams Championship, we've got Napa Racing UK obviously in the lead, doing very well. Team Virtue in 2nd, Restart Racing very much in 3rd. And then, yeah, you got and then you've got a litany of point contenders afterwards. But then let's look at the Jack Sears Trophy. This is always a good one. And it is Dow De Leon leading that from Charles Rainford. Ronan Pearson 3rd. Sam Osborne 4th. It's good to see Nick Hamilton in 7th, which is absolutely amazing. They have an asterisk next to Nick Halstead. I simply think because he's not contending all of those races. So, Oulton Park, this is the circuit. It's going to be the island circuit, meaning if you see here, we instead of going around here, which BTCC did in the past, we there we go, through that little needle there. This part here is the international circuit. So from Cascades we go to Lakeside, Island Bend, Hilltop, and then Hislops and Knickerbrook. I mean, some of these names are absolutely crazy. I do like Warwick Bridge though, which we'll be getting into. But what I'd like to say, last year we had this absolutely Mikey Doble versus Jake Hill on the last lap for the victory. It was absolutely epic stuff. To be fair, as much as I like Jake Hill, I was gunning for Mikey Doble. But no. He tries to move across on Jake Hill, who's got his nose in front again. He keeps it here. So look at that. Ding dong, only the BTCC. He was too nice to Jake Hill. He gave Jake Hill far too much space. That's the problem. So let's then have a look at the British Touring Car Championship Oulton Park circuit, shall we? And here it is. This is a replay of it, which it looks kind of nice. But what I really want to do is we are going to go on board as well. As you see, this is a 1991 BMW, which looks lovely. But what we want is this here. So, deep breath, everybody, and let's go. As we are gunning through, it'll be Lodge. We've just taken Lodge Corner. We are down Deer Leap and into the Old Hall Corner. Yes, it is quite fast, but a lot of things happen as we go through the avenue and Dentons. But the next big corner is going to be a significant left-hander, and it's going to be Cascades, which we're going to have to brake for. And now we come onto the island part where we normally go right. We're going to go straight on. This will be an overtaking place. It's fairly fast, and if you've got that boost, you're going to have a fairly decent chance. And it is one of the slower corners on the track. Brake nice and late. I think we managed to get become a slight lawnmower there as well. From Island Bend, and then up to Hilltop, and then we're coming through the chicane, which I think this was the chicane there with Mikey Doble and Jake Hall. So we normally see cars side by side here again. Quite a lot of action here. Controversy sometimes as well. Hit both those chicanes on the power and through the fantastically named Nicker Brook. On the power then, and Clay Hill. Now the car, I remember in the touring car games, going through Clay Hill, and we're going to come up to Drurid's Corner, which I used to be able to take flat. It's not happening here though, is it? It's not happening here at all. So we're definitely going to have to brake and take that right-hander. If you take this one, it's going to set you up for the final corner. But underneath Warwick Bridge, and then up to Lodge Corner, which is arguably the last overtaking place on there. And it's weird, it goes down and then it dips back up. You've got a nice bit of camber there. The car can sometimes go loose as we go down into Deer Leap, up into the start-finish straight, and towards Old Hall Corner once again. Fantastic. It's an absolutely fantastic track, I think. So that is Oulton Park. But let's talk about the drivers now, shall we? We've kind of done them. I haven't got all of them yet. I need to get all of them in championship order. And the ones we do have, sadly, Nicholas Hamilton is last. And like always, he's going to need something big to happen to get points. You don't know quite what the weather's going to be like. It is Tuesday. As I'm recording this, so the weather, to be fair, can always change. So it's like a massive fingers crossed, massive unknown. And he's in the Cooper Leon, but never. This is the thing, you never say never. But this guy here is really disappointing. He's quite far down the championship. That's Stephen Jelly. I really expected him to do better, but he's not. Again, Max Hall is quite far down. In the Cooper Leon, I thought he had such a good debut in Donington. And I'm not for the life of me saying it's fizzled out, because once again, he's in the Cooper Leon. It's just that, like Dow DeLeon last year, it was kind of like we knew he can do better, and now he's proven he can do better. Whether that's because he's in a better car or not, the Cooper Leon, we know from other drivers that have done it, and we'll get into that in a bit, that this car can be fairly pacey, can be fairly quick. So I'm hoping from a decent weekend from Max Hall. Dexter Patterson in the Cooper Leon, again, yeah, just like Max Hall, I think he can do better. But neither of them are as disappointing as this guy in the title. What is going on with Gordon Shedden? That's the massive exclamation mark I'd like to talk about. I mean, what on earth? Gordon, it's like sorted out. We know you are a multiple BTCC touring car champion. Do better. You can do better. James Dorlin in the Toyota, he's not doing too bad, particularly he's ahead of Gordon Shedden in the championship, which is good. Ronan Pearson is having a solid season as well, I think, along with Aaron Taylor-Smith in the Toyota. But all the Toyotas seem to be bunched up together, which which makes me think, is there a problem with that Toyota or the way they're setting up the car, or is it just really slow? Yeah, I mean, that's obviously Aaron Taylor-Smith. Next, we've got Sam Osborne, who, considering I've always said he's the weaker of the Napa drivers, I think he's doing fairly well. Dan Lloyd in the Honda i30. Can he do better? Maybe. And certainly this guy, I think, can do a lot better. Aidan Moffat, but he's not really, is he? I mean, he's been beaten by Dow DeLeon, who I think has had. Yes, Brands Hatch was absolutely stunning for the WSR team, but still, you still had to win that race. Mikey Doble in the sandwich of the two new winners in the BTCC, but I think he's not doing too bad in the Vauxhall. I can't help but feel, is that Vauxhall now getting a bit long in the tooth, getting a bit old. I don't know, is that a bit mean of me to suggest? And Charles Rainford again. Now, with it, as I mentioned before, with Jake Hill and the other WSR people, they've obviously gone for, you know, like, other than Jake Hill, still like inexperienced rookies, which is good because you could help mould them as a team. But the big negative of that is the fact that you don't have someone in the car like a Colin Turkington helping out with the setup. And I've said it before, I've mentioned it also, that I did have humble pie on my face. But is that now becoming a negative? And I think it might, you know, potentially, when you've got rid of all that experience. Chris Smiley having a good one in the coupe below him, and he's showing all the others up that yes, you can do decent in the coupe Leon. This guy, Josh Cook, for goodness sake, Josh, win this weekend, okay? I always big you up, and I end up being sad on a Monday morning. So Josh Cook, the man with, you know, the man with an awesome beard. Maybe talk about your awesome driving though. And to be fair, with the awesome beard, he's got the best helmet going as well. Team Virtue Adam Morgan a lot happier. I think he's a lot happier here, and hopefully he gets to stay next year. And I like develops that because he's won. We know this guy can win races, absolutely. Massively disappointed with Jake Hill, but I think more than we know, he's better than the results he's doing. I mean, he is the current champion. He had to beat both Tom Ingram and Ash Sutton. That is no mean feat last year. We cannot forget that. However, but he's not doing very well, is he? He needs to do better. He absolutely needs to do better. Tom Chilton's not doing too bad. He's you know, the best of the rest in terms of that team, in terms of the team virtue, can't talk. In terms of team virtue, but still, I think he's doing well. He's doing well. As is this guy, in terms of his talent and the potential for on-track results, I think he should be right up there, just behind Tom Ingram, snapping at their heels, and he almost is. In terms of driver, I think he's easily, he's fourth in the championship, but he's easily the third best driver this year. And Dan Rowbottom, though, not to take away from him, but I think he's having an absolute stellar year. The best BTCC year he's had so far. But once again, it's going to be these guys here for the title, isn't it? Tom Ingram, and it's going to be Tom Ingram and Ash Sutton are going to be favourites. Now, I've always thought, and I think I'm correct here, but comment below, let me know if you think I'm wrong. I've always thought that Ash Sutton, compared to these two, is a much better qualifier than Tom Ingram. In terms of racing, through the pack, I think Ash Sutton is more aggressive. But in terms of defending, I think Tom Ingram sometimes maybe goes a tiny bit far. Only sometimes. But he's a lot better. He's a lot more ruthless at defending, which is absolutely brilliant. And I can't help but feel when you look at the actual title in terms of the drivers, as I said, there's 181 for Ash Sutton, 172 for Tom Ingram. They are quite close to each other. Yeah, it's going to be between these two. Because bear in mind, 172 is Tom Ingram. He's 9 points behind Ash Sutton. Then you've got to go almost like with 50 points, and then it's Dan Rowbottom, and then pretty much Dan Camish, which is quite a lot. 60 points in total, almost for Daniel Rowbottom behind Ash Sutton. So there are your drivers for. There's essentially your drivers. This is that championship which we spoke about. This is going to be race week this weekend. This is obviously live on Sunday. I think normally 3:10 though is the qualifying. It's always interesting. Simply because Oulton Park, yes, it's got lots of turns, quite a few long straights. I do wonder this year more than ever the power, in terms of how much power you have, the boost, really it seems to be more significant than the last couple of years with both the weight distribution and the hybrid units. I think you seem to suffer more. So hopefully we have quite the interesting grid coming up. If you've made it to the end though, please give us a subscribe. That would be absolutely amazing. Give us a big smile. And until then, we'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much for watching, but above all else, stay safe and see you at the weekend.